All right, folks, this is part 3 of the soccer cookbook, and this is a collection of stories growing up playing soccer, and I hope you enjoy. Okay, this story is called The Chicken Game. So there's a famous German trainer. He taught out of somewhere in New Jersey, and he would tell young players, to pretend, right? They'd have a ball at their feet, and he'd tell them to pretend that they are a mama or papa chicken, and then that their ball was their egg. And when he told them that, their arms would automatically go up to shield people away from their chicken, which is the ball, right? So this is just a simple way to teach shielding the ball and protecting the ball against players, right? And it's such a simple game, but I watched him do this, and it's a great and effective way to coach young players who are just beginning. Okay, this story is called Soccer Vacation, right? So if you bring a small ball, or you bring a senseball, right, skills kick trainer ball, if you bring a ball everywhere you go, to signal to other players that says, come play, right? Come play with me. And anyone who's a great player will come in and juggle with you, right? Not all jugglers are great players, but all great players are great jugglers. So bring a ball with you, turn your life into a soccer vacation, right? You could take one every single day and it never gets old. The story is called Awareness, right? And it's called awareness because, simply put, you want to be aware of your physical surroundings, what's surrounding your area, right? If you have a gym with a sauna in it, or if you got a big grass hill by your house, or there's a pro team that plays close by, or you're by a beach, you have to use what you have around you, what you can get to on bicycle, whatever, just so that you can train smart, right? If I had a beach close to me, I'd be training the sand, right? I was once training for preseason, and I was in Livingston, New Jersey at the time, and I'd hop in my car, and I drove either 15-20 minutes up the road to a concrete hill. I remember doing some running up, running down, and I got in my car and I went home, and that was a training session. Even though 2 minutes down the road, I could have rode my bicycle. There's a giant wall, grass field, and I could have got thousands and thousands and thousands of touches. It's 2 minutes from my home, yet I chose to waste gas, time, energy, driving to Maplewood for this hill, and it didn't make sense. So what I'm trying to say is, you got to train smart. You got to train with the things that you can get to easily. Soccer training doesn't have to be hard. You want it to be fun, you want it to be challenging, but you want it to be hard doing the right thing. Okay, one coach who told me a story of how he would, even when the coaches didn't tell him to warm up, he would warm up by running in front of the bench, right, the team bench, and this would make it annoying and also difficult for his coaches to see the field. So he would basically, in short, pester his own coaches with a warm-up by warming up in front of them on the sidelines, right? So I'm not sure this is the best way to get in the game, but right, he said he would get in the game from doing it. And if you love to play, then you want to be in the game, then this is a simple and effective way for getting in the game if you're on the bench and you know that you should be on the field. Okay, I had a coach, and he would structure his practices in the same way, and it'd go warm-up, possession, finishing on goal, Slotsville, crossing and finishing, and then straight into 3-team games to big goals, right? 2 teams on, the team that's off are bumper players with 1 touch. And the only thing that he changed for this structure of practice was the type of possession that he would do. So sometimes it would just be 2-team possession in small area. Sometimes it would be 2-team possessions, and you have to play through gates that are on the field to score points. And the third way was 3 different teams, right? 3 different colors, 3 different pennies, playing possession with 1 team in the middle. And this would keep things super competitive, right? So if you had the numbers, either 15 players, 18 players, 21 players, right? I think 3-team possession was, right? 3-team possession I felt was the most effective possession style game, right? In all the games, we'd start with unlimited touch, and then we'd go, right, and a few minutes later, we'd go 2 touch, 1 on the takeover, and then 1 touch with 1 on the takeover. And the thing that this coach did really well was to cut each section of the practice too soon, so that you'd have more energy going into the next game, right? So if he cut possession short, and we went right into finishing on goal. Once someone scored an amazing goal, we'd go right into crossing and finishing. And once someone scored an amazing goal from crossing and finishing, we'd go immediately. The goal of the whole practice was get to playing on big goals, and that was the most fun thing. And since it was the same structure every time, you knew what to expect, except where it came to possession. At one point, I helped run a food truck, and we would try to park. We would always park, usually in the same parking lot, at this VFW parking lot, but we would move the location of the truck within the parking lot. And what this did, it would give people the excitement of a slight change, but they knew where we would be. We'd be in the parking lot. So this is the same thing as this practice, right? You have the same structure, but you do little tweaks in the practice to keep players on their toes, to keep it fun, right? To keep their brains firing, right? Keep good energy. It goes up, down, and around, right? So just a little thing about how to run an effective practice. Okay, if you are a coach, right, you have the duty to get the most out of your players. And since you spend a lot of time with them, you develop, or you get a sense of their energies. And one time during a practice, a coach took me aside and asked me, "Are you okay?" And at the time, I was mad. I don't remember what I was mad about, but I was not having a good time. But the fact that he took me aside as a player, right? He took me aside, and it showed me that he cared about me more than just, right? He cared about me as a person. And I'll never forget this. It sticks out of my mind, and it made me want to work harder for this coach, because he showed me that caring, because he could sense that something actually was wrong with me, even though I admitted that, even though I said that nothing was wrong. I think this is just a simple story about being a caring Okay, there's a funny story. This is called the double thumbs up game, right? So one time during a practice, it was getting heated, and players were yelling at each other, and our coach told us to huddle around, and he told us that when another player messes up on the field and you want to scream "fuck you" at this player, give him a double thumbs up instead. And this turned into a running joke because, right, each time a player messed up, giving them the double thumbs up was like saying, "We forgive you, keep playing hard." So now it kind of boosted our team camaraderie and team morale. Instead of yelling at each other, we'd jokingly give each other double thumbs up when we messed up, and that made us play better and have a better season, right? That season we were the #1 ranked team in the whole country at 18 years old. Okay, one time I had a coach give me advice to watch more soccer and do more yoga. And instead of doing those two things, I bought a pair of Vibram 5-finger shoes, and I started to jump more rope. And after I jumped rope with Vibram 5-finger shoes, my calves were so sore the next day I could hardly walk. And at this time I was bodybuilding, right? I was doing weightlifting like a bodybuilder. So moral of the story is, train sports specific. If you're a soccer player and you're lifting like a bodybuilder, you need to stop lifting like a bodybuilder, right? Stop it. Don't do it. I did it. It led to injuries. Wasn't good. My play decreased. I looked physically good, but my play got visibly worse. So you need to train sports specific. You gotta train smart. Okay, this story is called Energy. So I had a coach, right? His name is Doug Nevins, and he's my favorite coach, soccer coach of all time. And it's because his raw energy you could feel during practices. So if someone scored an amazing goal, he would yell at the top of his lungs in exhilaration. If during possession 3 teams or a team would keep the ball in the air 3 times in the air, he would shout out something like, he would scream out Tantalysis, right, to tantalize. And you could feel his love, his energy for the game, and this made me more energized. It made me want to work harder for him as a player, right? That's what made him a great coach. Okay, I've had different coaches use a marker, right, a marker board with marker writing to try and show formations or to show how players are supposed to attack or defend. And I've had coaches who used physical cones to show formations. And I noticed that the players or the coaches who used cones, physical cones, I was better to able understand their formations. And I think my teammates also better understood formations if you use physical cones as opposed to marker board. I don't know why. That's just what my intuition tells me. So if you're a coach, I highly recommend using cones, right? Cones to show formation. Okay, I was the assistant coach of a team, and the head coach, to make subs, he would sub someone out, and he would sub them immediately in the next like 2 minutes. It just made no sense. There wasn't any structure. It made no sense. I was perplexed every time I saw it happen. Compare this to how Coach Evans made subs. He would take strikers out, or maybe some wings out, with 20 minutes to go in the first half, right? And then he would leave those same strikers in 20 minutes into the second half. So you have some nice time windows where players, they knew when they would come out. It wasn't for mistakes, right? They would have time windows where they could be dangerous. That means their strikers playing the first 20 minutes field, they would go all out. They would be very dangerous. Then they'd get the last part of the second half, and then they'd have the last 20 minutes, right? So your starters, quote unquote starting strikers, got the first 20 and the last 20, give or so, of the second half, right? So this balance, it made just, in my mind, perfect sense, right? You got 4 different players all getting between 40 minutes instead of having instead of 2 strikers playing the first 40 minutes and tiring out or have low energy. They could go in, right? Starters go in, go hard, come out, play the last 20 minutes. And when the subs came in, your sub strikers came in, it wasn't like they were in their mindset subs, right? They had the last 20 minutes of the first half and the first 20 of the second half, and that's made it so it was a good balance of energy where all the players could be super effective, right? Super effective sub. Okay, when I started to drive, this story's called driving. So when I started to drive, I would leave a little bit late to practice, and I had a bad habit of speeding. So in my course of a lifetime, I probably spent over $10,000 on tickets, time lost, lawyer fees, car damage, bad things, speeding, right? One time I had to go pick up my mom, and I was headed to practice, right? And I couldn't be late. And I remember driving up Route 10 to the Honda dealership and flying into the Honda dealership at high speeds, hollering at my mom to get in the car because we're going to be late. And it just was not a good look, right? It wasn't good. Thing I didn't realize until later in life is that, right, if you speed and you get somewhere but you're not mentally prepared, it doesn't matter how fast you get there. If you can't be calm when you arrive, then it doesn't matter. And what I didn't realize is that my mentality off the field reflected my game on the field, right? So the conclusion is slow down, have fun, right? Train smart. The way that you speak to yourself, that's the game. The way you speak to your friends, your family, your coaches, the way you act off the field and on the field, that is the game. Your warm-up, that's the game. It's all part of the game. You want to be classy. You want to be an ambassador of the sport.